Sharing Space
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
11:34. It's time for the sharing space. Did we tell the listener that we're going to be talking about their story today? Okay, perfect. So they're listening. So the sharing space is an opportunity for us to just share our stories about stuff that happened to us, maybe a predicament that you have or a conundrum you're in. Just share the story with us on cm@702.co.za, and maybe you want advice from listeners, or maybe you just want to vent and you can have listeners tell you if they've experienced something similar or not. So today we have got an email from, is this anonymous? Anonymous. Okay. I'm going to read the email, and afterwards I'm going to take your calls. I'm going to take your WhatsApps as well. If the listener is asking for advice, but if you've experienced something similar, feel free to share. You can call or send a WhatsApp voice note. So here we go. Good morning, Clement and all 702 listeners. I really need your help and the wisdom of your listeners today, because honestly, I don't know where to turn anymore. And my situation has become something I never imagined I would find myself in. I have been married for 15 years. My wife is the breadwinner. She earns roughly 3 times more than I do. She has been generous in many ways, including funding trips for me to 4 European countries. But Clement, the generosity has come at a cost to my dignity. Over the years, I have slowly felt myself becoming invisible in my own home. My voice carries no weight. My opinions don't land. I don't feel valued or respected as a man and as a husband. And every time I have tried to raise this with her, things change briefly and then go right back to how they were. That pain of feeling unheard in your own marriage is something I carried for a very long time. And in that pain, I made a decision that I cannot undo. I reconnected with someone I loved deeply in high school. We were together right through until our tertiary years. That reconnection grew into something serious, and I'm ashamed to admit that I secretly married her while still married to my first wife. Half of my family is aware of this second marriage. My wife does not know to this day that I secretly married someone else. And then things became even more complicated and painful, Clement. My second wife became seriously ill. She needed me beside her. But at the exact time, my first wife arranged for me to travel overseas, and I felt trapped. I was unable to explain why I desperately needed to stay without exposing everything. I funded my second wife's hospital bills entirely from my own pocket, quietly, from a distance, but I was not there. I was not by her side when she passed away, and that is something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. I had asked my best man to represent me at her bedside and at the funeral. The same man who stood up for me at both weddings, but he refused. And now her family, this is the second wife's family, her family who are grieving and hurting are holding me responsible for my absence. They are blocking me from having any contact with my son, the child that I had with my second wife. And I am at a complete loss as to how to reach them or how to make this right. Clement, I'm not calling in to be judged. I know the choices I made were wrong, and I own that. I'm calling in because I'm a father who cannot see his child, a man carrying grief he cannot speak about openly, and someone who genuinely does not know what the right next step is. What would you advise me to do? When do I even begin? Where do I even begin to start putting this right? I'd like to get some advice from the 702 listeners. Regards, Anonymous. First of all, Anonymous, I'm so sorry. that you have lost your second wife. Whether your choices were wrong or right, this is someone you cared about. This was a mother of your child. And I'm glad that you own the mistakes that you've made, because nobody wants to be in love with someone who's going to abandon them at their most important, in their greatest time of need, is what I'm trying to say. But I'm glad that you have gone through this, you've accepted the mistakes you've made, and you want to make right with your child. Now, this is really so complicated. So for some people that may have been lost, let me try and summarize it again. So Anonymous has a wife, married for about 15 years. Anonymous was not happy in this marriage because wife is the breadwinner and the wife wasn't too respectful to him because he wasn't earning much. The wife was earning 3 times more. So he went and found love somewhere else, respect somewhere else. He found someone that he used to be with in the past. They reconnected. He ended up marrying that woman. His family knows about the second woman who's been married, but his first wife doesn't know. And he ended up having a child with this second woman. But now the tricky part is this second woman was sick at some point, and he traveled with his first wife overseas. And this woman sadly died, the second wife, and he couldn't stay because his first wife was going to say, why would you want to stay when I'm proposing a trip overseas? So he wasn't there for his second wife, and that's the guilt that he's living with. That the second wife passed away when he wasn't there, and he was there with his first wife on a trip overseas. And now he says the family of the second wife are refusing him to see the child he had with the second wife, because they're saying, you were not there when this woman even died. You were not even there at her funeral. So why do you think you deserve to even have a relationship with this child? And Anonymous is asking, how do you advise him? What does he do? Where does he even begin to start putting this right? Sounds like someone who is willing to make some amends. So, what advice do you have for Anonymous? I'll share my advice for him after the break. It's 19 minutes before 12.
The Sharing Space
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
15 minutes before 12 o'clock. Yeah, we've got a challenge in our hands. No, Anonymous has a challenge in his hands. How do you advise him? I think for me, Anonymous, I think you must just take accountability for what's happened. I think you need to be honest with your first wife about what you've done. If you really love her, I think take the risk. And accountability has risks. Yes, she may end up leaving you, but I think you owe her that. To say that, I'm sorry, I've been living a double life. And I think that's where it begins. And secondly, you need to also take accountability and go to your second wife's family and apologize. And explain to them that you have been living a lie because they don't know that you are married. And I think thirdly, you need to sit down with your own family. I don't know how they were able to allow you to do this if they got along with the first wife, unless maybe there's context we don't know, but your family owes your first wife an apology. If you still love your first wife and you want to continue with her, your family owes her an apology, because you do say in the letter that your family knows about your second marriage that your first wife didn't even know about. I think for me, those are the 3 things you do, my friend. Let's go to your calls on 011-883-0702. Patrick, you're in Boxburg. What do you think? Good morning.
Morning, Clement,
Sure.
with your listeners. Clement, I just want to say this one thing before I can maybe comment. I am a marriage and relationships counselor for the past 24 years. I've met, I think 3 of such cases in my life.
3 of such similar cases?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems at Clement Manyathela, we get into an institution that we don't understand. We get into an institution where we are not prepared for the challenges that lies ahead. We get there because we love people. So love is a foundation actually of marital failure. Because if you marry a person on the basis of loving that person, when the love is gone, then what remains? That is one of the biggest problems that people do when they get into marriage. No guidance, no pre-marriage counseling. Even when they are married, there is no marriage service. Your marriages are not serviced, so that you can have someone who is maybe above you, or a counselor, or your pastor, or whoever, that you can go to, even if you don't have problems. The same way you take your car for service. You don't take your car for service because it has problems. You take it there just to maintain the warranty of the car.
Yeah.
So we don't maintain the warranty of our marriages.
So what does he do now?
Now, the first thing that he must do, he must forgive. No one can forgive you above yourself. He must start forgiving himself, but you will never forgive yourself if you do not acknowledge that the things that I did are wrong. You keep on hiding, ducking, and diving. He must forgive himself. He must speak the truth, because the truth that you know will set you free. But the lies will imprison you. And a lie, even if it can last for million years, it will never be the truth.
Yeah. Patrick in Boxback, thank you. Let's hear from Semi in Centurion. Semi, what do you think? Hi.
Good morning, Clement.
Sure.
You know what I must just come clean with this first wife and tell her exactly what had happened, and then obviously it's a case where there has to be a divorce. I can't imagine a situation where I'm in a marriage with someone who's gonna go and marry someone else. That's just disrespectful. But on the other hand, with the family of his late wife denying him access to his child, that's a criminal offense actually. Under Section 35 of Children's Act, there's no two way about it. You cannot deny a father access to his child. That's the court that has to decide. And there has to be compelling circumstances. He must just go and seek the legal route. Go to the family, whether it's children's court, I don't know whether it's family court or children's court, and open up a case that these people are denying me access to his child. The one thing that most people don't know, Clement, is this. The grandparents don't have any say in the child's life. That's between a mother and a father. So no, you did this to our child, and then we're denying you access. It's a criminal offense. There's no two way about it. There's no debate. So you must just go and seek the legal route, and then they'll take it forward. There'll be a court order that you have to give this man. Actually, you have to hand this child to this man. That's his child. You have to hand the child over.
Yeah. Okay, Semi in Centurion. Thank you. Let's go to your WhatsApps.
Good morning, Clement. Here's my advice to Anonymous. Anonymous, I won't judge you. I think you need to confess to your wife, your first wife, and then also confess to the family of the second wife and your son on what happened. Seek counseling and then see what happens. Also, next time, you don't fix a problem with another problem. You're supposed to divorce your first wife and remarry, but unfortunately, you are here now. Good luck. Thanks, Tembi.
Good morning, Clement. Na advising I found that just accept your fate, because those are the choices that you made for yourself. You made the bed, so lay on it. And if you thought that was a clever thing to do, it is also a clever thing to do. To dwell in that pain and to enjoy the pain. And I'm sorry, I might sound really rough, but I don't think it's something that you could be asking people for advice. We have become a society of lax morality, of less compassion. You know, it's just a mess. So I think, soldier on, brother. This is the choices that you made. We are very sorry that as a society, we cannot condone such behavior. Imagine married to a person and being betrayed like that. Oh.
The Sharing Space
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
6 minutes before 12 o'clock.
Excellent, Clement. Who's it? All I can say is that, yo! Hey!
Bonga, you are in Centurion. Good morning.
Good morning, Clemza.
Sure, brother. Go ahead.
So, man. My simple advice to our Anonymous would be, because I think by now he must have done some trying to convince, some trying to talk to the family, and hopefully in a humble way. So, my advice would be, go to children's court for the court to assist you with seeing your child, because but obviously communicate with the family that you're not doing this in a fighting way, because they might see it as you're taking us to court, blah blah blah. But you must do it in a humble way. Communicate with the family that I'm not fighting, but unfortunately I have to see my child, because he cannot dictate how long this family must be mad at him. But at the same time, if they feel like they should be mad at him forever, that should not be to say he must never see his child, because in the future, that child might not see it as a very good excuse if he didn't try other means. That, no, you didn't get to spend time with me because of other people. What other things did you try? So I would say, you see, he can do this concurrently. Take the court to also assist him to see his child, while at the same time trying to humble himself, take accountability to the family and understand why they feel like this, and they feel like they should punish him with this child.
Okay. Bonga, thank you so much for your advice. It's 4 minutes now before 12.